Coming up, the execution of a Missouri prisoner sparks fight for more advocacy and reform.
Plus, how Kansas went from the worst ranking in mental health advocacy to earning a spot in the top 25.
And a new club on campus is spiking in popularity.
Live from the studio in Stauffer Flint at the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Welcome to KUJH News. I'm Francesca Onofrio.
And I'm Savannah Meyer. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance went head-to-head in the first and only vice presidential debate on Tuesday night. Candidates stayed relatively civil during the event while arguing on a wide range of issues, including climate change, abortion, and gun laws. Tuesday's debate was likely the last big political face-off before the election, and it's time for voters to start making decisions on which candidates to support.
If you still haven't registered to vote, there's still time. In Kansas, the deadline for voter registration is October 15th. And for any voters unable to vote in person, you still have a couple of weeks to request a mail-in ballot. Information on how to register or request an absentee ballot is on our website, KUJHnews.com.
According to the Witness to Innocence organization, as of July 1st, 2024, 200 prisoners in the U.S. have been exonerated from death row, and 130 of those had a false accusation involved.
Wrongful conviction of death row prisoners has been a major problem here in the U.S., especially with the recent execution of Marcellus Williams in Missouri. KUJH's Emily Sutter joins us live in studio to tell us more.
That's right. Marcellus Williams, a prisoner at the state prison in Monterey, Missouri, died by lethal injection last Wednesday after the Missouri Supreme Court and governor denied giving Williams a stay of execution, even though the victim's family and the case's prosecutor asked to have Williams spared. Williams was originally convicted of murder in 2001, but forensic evidence at the crime scene was never tied to Williams. Many people are outraged by this case of wrongful conviction and are fighting for others on death row.
KU Associate Professor of Political Science Kevin Molinek says to bring attention to the issue of wrongful conviction, it's important to share these stories.
I bet if I did a big nationwide survey right now and asked people who is Marcellus Williams, there's going to be huge swaths of the American public that don't know anything about this case.
Williams's court documents state that there is no credible evidence of actual innocence in the original jurisdiction, but those who know this case believe the opposite. The lack of Williams's DNA at the scene made his team continue to fight for his innocence.
Now, the Marcellus Williams one, I think that many people would look at that and say that's a highly questionable conviction. But so then that raises questions of how do people respond to those kinds of stories? And I suspect that it would largely hinge on whether or not, the responses would hinge on whether or not they think that he was innocent or guilty.
Marcellus Williams's execution has many calling for reform and advocacy.
Liberals and conservatives and moderates, everyone should be able to look at this topic and say, you know, we don't want to convict someone of a crime they didn't commit. We don't want to incarcerate and possibly execute someone for a crime they didn't commit. That should not be ideological.
Cases like Williams's are continually discussed in the U.S. with hopes that wrongful conviction will cease within the justice system. Back to you, Francesca.
Thanks, Emily. Last week, we spoke about the impacts of Lawrence 2025 budget on first responders. Earlier this week, the city and the Lawrence Firefighter Union came to an agreement after months of ongoing negotiations. The president of the Lawrence Firefighter Union, Seamus Albritton, shares more.
Per resolution by the city, we sit down and we negotiate wages, benefits, and working conditions. It has a timeline and how that's supposed to work. We start typically March, April time period every year to try and get it done by budget cycle, by the completion of the budget cycle. This year took a little longer. There were some larger corrections we needed to do to our wages and benefits to get more in line with the rest of our market comparables. But ultimately, we were able to get it done.
This agreement will be in effect from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
It's definitely been cooler over the past couple of days, but it doesn't look like that will be continuing into this weekend. Weather forecaster Sam Hansen is here to tell us more. Sam?
Thank you, Savannah. Unfortunately, our Lawrence camera is very dirty for the moment, so we're going to look out at Manhattan today. But the skies are just as clear here as they are there, and we're sitting at 79 degrees for the time being with winds out of the south at 12 miles an hour. As we go through the afternoon, the sunny skies will stay with us. We'll reach a high around 91 come 4 p.m. with the wind still out of the south. And as you look at our temperature trend for the next week, we'll be consistently above average. The only thing changing is by how much. For today and Saturday, we'll be up at 92, a little bit cooler than other days, including 78 on Monday. And coming up in a little bit, I'll give you the breakdown on the forecast for the weekend, as well as some big upcoming sporting events. Back to you, Savannah.
Sam will be back later to tell us about the upcoming forecast. Plus, learn what will be taking over the former McLean's Market building on campus and how a community is supporting a 10-year-old who has just been diagnosed with cancer. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. We've got a lot of news coming up.
But first, Sam is back to give us an update on the weather. Over to you, Sam.
Yes, thank you, Francesca. Looking at the satellite view here, well, nothing besides a couple clouds way up to the north and way up to the east. But again, here by Lawrence, absolutely nothing going on here at the moment. As we head through this evening, it'll be about 91 at 4 p.m., 88 at 6, and then cooling off into the upper 60s come 10 p.m. with the wind weakening out of the south as we head toward later on into tonight. Now, overnight we'll reach a low around 57 degrees, clear skies staying with us. The winds will shift out of the north overnight, though, as a small cold front will move through, causing our temperatures tomorrow to be around 10 degrees cooler than today. 7 a.m. tomorrow again at 58, then 65 at 10, and then come the afternoon warm up, maybe to 79, probably break into the lower 80s for a high temperature tomorrow afternoon. Again, plenty of sunshine for the weekend as a whole. Saturday back up to 92, then Sunday right back down to 81. Very up and down temperature-wise for the next couple of days. Now getting into some sports forecasts. By the time our next show comes around, the first 3 games of the ALDS between the Royals and the Yankees will take place. Game 1 looks good Saturday in New York, 72 degrees and sunshine. Game 2, there may be some showers early in the day Monday in New York. They should move out come game time, but something that we'll have to keep our eye on for sure for that. Then Game 3 back here in Kauffman Stadium on Wednesday looks good as well. Now for KU at Arizona State football, yes, that is warm, but remember, that is the dry heat of the desert. It will feel like probably mid-90s here with humidity will be the equivalent of this. 107 for pregame, 106 at kickoff, and then luckily for them, they'll get below 100 come the fourth quarter. We have some other sporting events going on. Volleyball at Colorado looks good, so does cross country out in Notre Dame, and women's tennis, rowing, and men's golf all looks to be in right around 90 degrees for their events coming up over the weekend and into next week. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, I do not blame you if you fall asleep looking at this. It is very boring. 92 for today, 81 tomorrow. And then same thing really Saturday and Sunday with that flip-flopping conditions. Come Monday, it'll be a little bit cooler again, back at 78, but no rain is expected for the next 7 days. Back to you.
Thanks, Sam. Last year, Kansas ranked last in providing access to mental health resources. But in this year's overall report from Mental Health America, Kansas leaped up to the 22nd spot. Despite this, there has still been an increase in depression and suicidal ideation among young people in the state. Chris Corbett, director of CAPS, shared more about what the state can do to continue their rise.
Particularly in a state like Kansas, right? It's a matter of having access to clinicians, it's having access to increases in health insurance that are covering mental health, and then it's just, I think, doing everything that we can to ensure that the community is looking out to take care of each other.
However, Kansas ranked 35th on the Access to Care ranking, including access to insurance, treatment, special education, and more. The university does have many mental health resources available.
An obvious one would be reaching out to CAPS. That's where I work here at KU. That can happen by calling the department, looking on our website at caps.ku.edu, or just coming in. We have daily drop-in times available that a student can come anytime. 10 to 3 is our preferred time, but we're open 8 to 5, and so if a student comes in, we're going to make sure that they get access to some resources.
Data in this year's report from Mental Health America was collected in 2022, coming off the coattails of the pandemic. For more information and a full list of resources, visit our website, KUJHnews.com.
According to the American Childhood Cancer Association, about 1 in every 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer before they turn 20 years old. One Kansas boy has sadly been diagnosed twice in the past 5 years. However, he has a small but mighty community backing him up. James Nunley, a 10-year-old boy from Olpe, Kansas, has been diagnosed for a second time. At just 6 years old, James fought for his life against lymphoblastic leukemia. He credits his motivators as a big impact on finishing his treatments.
Being able to be with my family.
Mm-hmm. I would say that in sports. We're from, he was able to continue to be active the whole time.
Yep.
Which I think really helped with his mindset.
Not really for the first year.
Yeah, for the first year it was kind of tough. He did everything he could, but I think a big part of it was we're from a really small community,
Yep.
A small school, and so it was like he had the whole town behind him.
That same community, as well as the whole town, is supporting him through his second round of this battle. Many high school students were ready to offer James and his family with their help.
That I had some students that came the very next day and said, what can we do? Which is incredible. That's what we're trying to teach, especially in that leadership and civic engagement class, is be a doer and be part of something bigger than yourself. So we're trying to do that for James.
Students, organizers, and local residents of Olpe joined together to host a hamburger cookout at Olpe High School's Blackout home game, with all the money being raised going towards the Nunley family. In addition to wearing black, students at the schools were wearing orange bandanas for James in support of the ribbon color. Team James raised nearly $9,000 from the cookout and are very grateful for all their support from the community.
Student entrepreneurship programs are getting a new home as the KU School of Business is discussing turning the former McLean's Market building into an entrepreneurship hub. KUJH's Cameron McRory is live outside the building. Cameron, what would this project look like?
That's right, I am live here at the former McLean's building, which has sat vacant since the cafe shut down in March of 2023. Now, in March of 2024, KU Endowment bought the building, and now it might be the new home of student innovation. Student entrepreneurs are the small business owners of tomorrow, and what better place to stimulate creativity than a space designed just for them? And that's where this entrepreneurship hub comes in.
It's a place for people to have access to resources to help with entrepreneurship and their entrepreneurial endeavors.
This center would house 3 KU business programs, the Catalyst, Red Tire, and Jayhawk Consulting, where students can develop their skills and ideas as young entrepreneurs.
And we have a lot of great students, and they have a lot of great ideas. And so creating space for them to try and learn and get those reps in, I think is going to serve them regardless of what they decide to do professionally.
According to the 2023 Small Business Profile, small businesses make up 99% of Kansas business, but employ just under half of the state's employees. These programs grant students local connections to help stimulate Kansas small business growth.
I know our students have greatly benefited from entrepreneurs and mentors around the state of Kansas, and we're grateful to be able to connect students to programs like finance programs and things like that at the Department of Commerce.
The communications director for the School of Business says the plans to house the entrepreneurship hub here have not yet been finalized, but that they're excited and will have more details in the following weeks. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Camera. There's always more room for young entrepreneurs on campus, and hopefully this building can be a great spot for business students to practice their skills.
Kansas football, volleyball, and look at some of the university's not so average sports teams. All of that is coming up after the break, so stay with us.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
Welcome back to KUJH Sports. I'm Kara Lyons, and we're back this week to discuss the Royals run and your favorite KU fall sports. We will also switch things up this week and talk about some non-traditional sports here at KU. While some people are going crazy for pumpkin spice this fall, baseball fans are excited for the MLB playoffs. The Royals made their way to the postseason for the first time since their 2015 World Series run. The Royals had a record of 86-76, making them number 2 in the American Central League and guaranteeing their entry into the wild card round. They also secured their spot in the division series after beating the Orioles 1-0 on Tuesday and 2-1 last night. The Royals will play the Yankees on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. and Monday at 6:30 p.m. KU football made their debut in Arrowhead on Saturday afternoon, but still lost to TCU 38-27. Jalen Daniels had 1 interception and threw for almost 200 yards, but only completed 15 of 34 passes. The Jayhawks, now 1-4, started the game strong but slowed down following TCU's 89-yard punt return touchdown that fans were not happy about. The Jayhawks hope to overcome a 4-game losing streak and win their matchup against Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona. You can catch the game at 7 p.m. this Saturday. KU's women's volleyball team defeated the Houston Cougars 3-1 at home on Friday evening. Seniors Toyosu Onobaju continues to be a weapon at the net for the Jayhawks as she finished the game with 13 kills and 5 blocks. Cameron Turner, who leads the nation in assists per game, aided in 43 of the 50 total assists. The team will make the trek to Boulder, Colorado and face the Colorado Buffaloes tonight at 8 p.m.
Dribbling in, double team, shot from the outside, just the wall. Now Hayward has it back for the ball, shot from the outside. In all alone, shoots.
Switching to soccer, the women's team fell short to number 16 Colorado on the road 1-0 on Sunday afternoon. The first half was back and forth, but neither team was able to score. Eventually, the single goal in the game was made by CU's Jace Hawley in the 81st minute. The Jayhawks are hoping to break their 1-game losing streak against OSU at home this Saturday at 6 p.m. The women's golf team is back swinging their clubs this season. The golfers took 7th place overall in their first tournament, the Folds of Honor Collegiate, and also brought home the gold in the Golf Week Red Sky Classic last week. The Jayhawks will host the Marilyn Smith Invitational next Monday through Tuesday. Though soccer itself is a conventional sport, seeing someone essentially break dance with a soccer ball can be rather surprising. This past summer, myself and KUJH's Emily Sutter got the chance to study abroad in Stirling, Scotland, and see the variety of sports they had there, especially football. Emily got to discover the rising sport of freestyle football in Stirling.
Football is the most popular sport in the world. But in Scotland and the rest of the world, football means soccer. With the excitement of Scotland competing in the UEFA European Football Championships, students at the University of Stirling got the chance to see a different side of the sport. Ross Brown, a professional football freestyler, described his passion as a mix of football and breakdancing. Brown didn't get into the sport until his teens, so he knew he had to catch up on learning skills.
I used to go out just myself and the ball and practice a lot, just one-on-one with the ball. And naturally from doing that, my control got really good. You learn a lot of tricks and skills and keepy-ups.
Brown loves to share his skills as there are not many freestyle professionals in Scotland.
It's easy enough to do because it's not traditional football. It's something a bit different. Some of the people that was coaching today, were saying it's almost like dance with a football. So, it can appeal to people of all interests.
The Stirling students who tried some of Ross's favorite skills enjoyed experiencing a different kind of football.
The people are just so passionate about it, so I think it's cool to get us involved because it'll only grow our appreciation for the sport and the culture, really.
Even a former soccer player learned a few new things about the sport.
I played since I was 6. This is really fun because it's a bunch of skills that I haven't used in like 3-4 years, and he's really good.
In the world of football, there is always something new for people to experience, especially those from the U.S. Even I enjoyed taking part in the skills Brown taught. Brown's performance truly showed these Stirling students that pursuing your passion and sharing cultures creates an amazing experience. From Stirling, Scotland, for KUJH News, I'm Emily Sutter.
Emily, your skills don't look that bad. It's awesome to see such a unique sport being shaped with people across the world. Over 600 clubs exist on campus, allowing students to engage in a variety of interests. One club that is quickly gaining popularity is Spikeball. KUJH's Prescott Deckinger learned more about the sport's evolution.
No, don't be tempted to bounce on this. It's not a miniature trampoline. It's a spike ball net, and the sport is steadily growing in popularity.
The most enjoyment I've gotten from the sport so far is just getting to meet people from all over the country, kind of all over the world now.
Spike ball originated from the mind of toymaker Jeff Knurek in 1989. His inspiration to create the game came from volleyball. Similar to volleyball, a spike ball game begins with a serve. The opposing team is allowed 3 alternating touches, then must rally the ball back by hitting the ball onto the net. To win, teams must reach the score of 21.
The ball is rubber, inflatable, and about the size of a grapefruit. This game may seem like a simple backyard activity people play on the weekends, but it's a game quickly spiking in recognition.
Competitive games have aired on ESPN. 4 million people play daily, and even KU hosts tournaments, like the one I attended this weekend at Dad Perry Park. Players from OSU, Mid-America Nazarene, and Lincoln, Nebraska gathered on the grass to showcase their skills.
I think spike ball is such a fun sport to play because it represents the community and fellowship. Everybody sets their differences aside when they're around the net.
Diving, high-fiving, and spiking are all prerequisites for success, but having fun is first and foremost. For KUJH News, I'm Prescott Deckinger.
Spikeball is becoming a favorite activity among college students around the country. To learn more about Spikeball or join the club, visit KUJHnews.com for more information. That will wrap up the sports we have for you, but make sure to stay tuned next week for more sports updates. Coming up, we introduce the Lawrence Orchard's community-driven message, give you a taste of Oktoberfest here on campus, and take one last look at the weather. Stay with us.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back. One local group is celebrating the end of its season with some fresh pressed cider. The Lawrence Fruit Tree Project hosted its annual fall party for the community to celebrate the year-round work of the Lawrence Community Orchard. KUJH's reporter Sydney Clark tells us more about this group's mission.
It's the bounty of public orchards, but more importantly, a celebration of the season ending for the Lawrence Fruit Tree Project. A branch of the Sunrise Project, it's a community-driven nonprofit that provides education, food, and social connection for everyone. A mission that is seen in action daily through the Lawrence Community Orchard.
We're here to increase the amount of public fruit trees in the city of Lawrence because we believe in feeding people in public spaces.
Skylar Adamson, the coordinator of the Lawrence Fruit Tree Project, is one of the many hands who will help keep the orchard going year-round, along with the executive director of the Sunrise Project, Melissa Freeberger. Together through the orchard, they have created a space for everyone.
We hear every day how much a difference our programs make.
It's a program that has continued to grow over the last 10 years.
I'm really pleased with how we've grown in a way that really speaks to the community.
This is a place for learning and play and discovery, and it's the place where a lot of people of all ages come and taste tree-ripened fruits for the very first time.
Last Sunday, their annual fall party offered freshly pressed cider, a potluck, games, and even live music for people in the community to gather and celebrate this one-of-a-kind orchard in Lawrence.
It's a celebration of everything, all the volunteer labor, our harvest, the beautiful space that everyone comes here to help maintain.
The orchard will begin to plan and prepare for the upcoming season during the winter months. For KUJH News, I'm Sydney Clark.
To get involved with the Lawrence Fruit Tree Project, follow them on Instagram at Lawrence Fruit Tree Project for upcoming volunteer opportunities. I bet that weather at the orchard was just fabulous.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that, I could not imagine, better weather.
Oh, absolutely. I know Lawrence is having fabulous weather this week, but this coming weekend, like Sam told us earlier, it's not looking good.
I know. What is this 90s in October?
I know.
I'm ready for sweater weather. I'm ready to be like turn on my fireplace and get all like bundled up.
Absolutely. So Sam is here to tell us the rest of our weather for today. Back to you, Sam.
Well, you want the cool weather? Yeah, sorry, that's not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. And this is not exactly weather related, but there has been a very active solar cycle recently. There could be a chance to see the aurora if you're further up north tomorrow evening. Now, this red line is probably the southernmost mark of where you can see it. Unfortunately, we're just beneath that, but if you happen to be up in Nebraska or further up, you have a good chance of seeing that over tomorrow night. Now, I did mention earlier a cold front that is up here to our north and stationary down beneath it. That will move into our area overnight tonight, leading our temperatures again being a little bit cooler as we get into tomorrow. Again, very consistently sunny pattern. In terms of low temperatures, we'll be in the upper 50s for most of the next week, but we will be in the upper 40s come like Monday, Tuesday morning. So you may need those jackets if you're heading out early on those days. Back to you.
Thanks, Sam. That's all we have for you this morning. Check out KUJH on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram for more exclusive content and keep up to date with the latest stories at KUJHnews.com. I'm Francesca Onofrio.
And I'm Savannah Meyer. KUJH News will be back next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Have a great day.